What's up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so here's the situation we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have Subtropical Depression Don now. It's now a subtropical depression, according to the NHC. And latest advisory now has it at 35 miles per hour. Pressure's up to 1,011 millibars. It's located at 39.2 degrees north, 44.7 degrees west, moving east at 8 knots or 9 miles per hour. We're going to go ahead and briefly show you the cone. The cone has this moving now towards the southeast and then to the west. It's kind of taking a little bit of a loop-de-loop, potentially strengthening back to a subtropical storm if it lasts long enough, but that's what we got going on there. It's expected to stay a minimal tropical storm strength, at least. It's not going to expect to get tropical characteristics anytime soon. We also have Calvin that is approaching Hawaii right now. There is some tropical storm watches that have now been effective for parts of the Big Island over here. So definitely something to watch for sure. And if you're in the Big Island, I would start making some preparations for tropical storm force winds if you're watching this. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the main stuff of this video, because what I've been seeing over the last few days, I've been seeing a bunch of ensemble runs of potential scenarios of a bunch of tropical stuff going on in the main development region. Well, the 0Z of the GFS really piqued my interest, and so did the subsequent 6Z, and we'll go ahead and show both of those to you. So the 0Z run, basically, this starts out right here. You can see there's a tropical wave that comes off the coast of Africa in the next couple of days. It starts to organize, develop, and then strengthen as it's approaching the Lesser Antilles. It takes quite a while through the main development region to get its act together, and then as it's approaching the Lesser Antilles, it strengthens to tropical storm, and then hurricane strength rather quickly as it approaches the Lesser Antilles, the Leeward, Windward Islands over there. Then it moves through, hits the Virgin Islands, potentially hits Puerto Rico according to this run of the GFS, and then it enters the Atlantic, starts intensifying even more, moves north of the Bahamas at a pretty slow pace, and then it starts approaching the United States, either making a close pass by or a potential landfall in the Carolinas over there. We're not 100% sure yet. Keep in mind, by the time it does get out here, it's about 16 days out, so it's just take it with a grain of salt. And by the time it approaches the Lesser Antilles, we're about 9 days out, so something you need to keep an eye on, but still you need to take with a grain of salt, because anything after 5 days of the GFS can be highly unpredictable. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind. But the 6Z is also showing something similar as well. The 6Z is showing this tropical development starting the MDR, starts organizing, developing, and then strengthens into a tropical storm and hurricane. This time, however, it stays north of the Lesser Antilles. It approaches the Bahamas, and then the subtropical ridge over here moves it parallel to the United States coast, according to the 6Z. Again, pretty unreliable, but it is somewhat consistent with what both the European and GFS ensembles are calling for right there. So definitely something to pay attention to. Now we're going to go ahead and show you the global sea temperatures as of today. Right here, the temperatures across the Gulf of Mexico and across parts of the Atlantic, 30 degrees Celsius all over the place. Like, I've never seen such a large area of this in July. This is unheard of right here. And if we go ahead and zoom in a little bit to the Gulf of Mexico right here, we have a very consistent area of 31 plus degrees Celsius waters off the coast of Louisiana into the central Gulf parts of the loop currents right there. So absolutely something to pay attention to. And that is only going to increase in temperature as time continues to go on all the way until September. And then with the OHC we have right here, this is the latest from the ocean heat content right here as of July 17th. And OHC continues to develop. It has been fluctuating up and down from 175 to 150, so not too much of a different situation going on right there, but definitely something to continue to pay attention to, and it's only going to increase as time continues to go on right here. And compared to where we were in 2020, not nearly as expansive, especially in the MDR, where you can see that we're seeing over 100 OHC values all over the place. So once again, keeping an eye on this. Now we're going to go ahead and show you the shear component to all this. The shear in the main development region is relatively calm for now. If we even go out to the Eastern Atlantic Ocean over here, there is some shear that is starting to invade the MDR, but it's not particularly strong as of right now. It's around 30 to 40 knots or so right here. So that's what's going on right here. But other than that little blob of shear right there, it's not really impacting anything to the west of that. There's still that stubborn area of shear in the Caribbean. The Gulf of Mexico is continuing to fluctuate, so is the Atlantic over here. So definitely something to once again keep an eye out, pay attention to, and that is only going to continue to trend downward as time continues to go on. Now we're going to go ahead and show you the shear forecast we have pulled up from the European run right here, as well as the moisture component to all this. The shear forecast does have the shear kind of intruding quite a bit for the next couple of days or so, and then it starts weakening right here, and it stays for a little bit to the south of the MDR over there. And then basically the MDR stays pretty stable, at least shear-wise. The Gulf of Mexico, at least for the next little while, stays decently low with shear, although there is some shear that's going to enter the Caribbean. And this is interesting right here because the Caribbean shear that's been very stubborn so far actually starts fluctuating quite a bit in the next few days or so, in the next 4 days. That's pretty incredible right there. We're starting to see a bit of a fluctuation. It was being very stubborn for the last couple of months, and now it's finally starting to taper off a bit, but then it starts coming back by around day 7, day 8, but it then begins fluctuating. So that Caribbean shear is not going to last forever, and the European is now starting to show that as well. So something to keep an eye on. And what else isn't going to stay forever is that dry air and the Sahara dust. And we'll show you from the latest run from the European right here. Latest run from the European continues to have moist air invading the main development region, making it primed for development. Sahara dust starts to taper off a bit, at least for the next couple of days or so. But by day 4, more Sahara dust starts entering the Atlantic, although it is starting to taper off quite a bit, especially the MDR, the Caribbean as well. It's starting to weaken a little bit. It does intrude the Gulf a bit, so keep that in mind. But as time continues to go on, it's only going to continue that downward trend. And even the Eastern Caribbean, where that moist pocket is, it's going to start fluctuating right there. So we are entering pretty much the area of, okay, we're not expecting too much tropical development yet, but things are starting to ramp up. So we need to pay attention to that. Now we're going to go ahead and show you ensemble runs. Once again, the European GFS ensembles right here, because the official GFS forecast called for like potential Category 3 strength approaching the United States or staying parallel to the United States right there. So I wanted to go ahead and check the ensemble runs to see what's going on with those. European ensembles continue to stay very consistent, continue to double down, and we are seeing some consistency in the with basically some of these ensemble runs overlapping each other, which is pretty interesting right there. And that's something you do not want to see if you do not want to get hit by any tropical systems right there. So definitely something to keep an eye out. This is about 10 days out too, so keep that in mind. Then you start seeing a bit of variation. A couple of runs have it entering the Gulf. One of them hits Florida. A couple of them stay parallel. Another one hits Jacksonville, and the last one stays off to sea, potentially hits the Outer Banks as 15 days out goes on. So that's what we got going on with this run right here, the GFS ensembles right here. We're going to go ahead and go to the 0Z just to show you that what's going on with that. The 0Z also has something similar to that of the European. That's why they called for this Cat 3 situation going on. It does have several runs hitting land, including the Lesserantilles, Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, the Bahamas, potentially Florida. A couple of the runs have that right here, and then the rest of them have it stronger but staying out to sea as that Bermuda high starts taking that away from land right there, although there is a close pass to Canada potentially right there. So definitely something to keep an eye on, but take it with a grain of salt. I absolutely am. As soon as we start seeing an area of interest potentially get tagged in the main development region, we'll know for sure what's going on over there. But I just know for a fact that if the Euro and the GFS, at least the ensemble runs, are starting to agree, you might want to pay attention. So we're going to go ahead and close this video out right here. I hope you enjoyed it. Today is my birthday, so I'm kind of taking this day to update you guys on the weather that's going out there. So I would really appreciate if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. I'm about to go have some fun. So yeah, with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.